just a big joke. It's a joke.
Cut out the jibber jabber. Don't be babbling like a fool. Say what you got to say. That's all. Then shut your dang pie hole.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. We are back, and folks, what a crazy world we have. Totally crazy. It's 2022 and it's over. Tomorrow's New Year's Eve. I have received a special invitation. So this won't be a live broadcast that you guys get to participate in, but it is the 2022 year in review, and I'm going to cover some very big chunks of what has happened. Some very big chunks, and I will use examples from this week to demonstrate what is going on and where we're heading. Folks, it is hit the fan. Things are very, very, very bad. We've had a lot of, I would call, positive progress in the area of prepping and waking America up, right? And then notifying the government, notifying everybody, in fact, that we are opposed to what's happening in our country. It has hit the fan, folks, big, big time. So let's get into it. First, we will be doing Sunday Night Live on January 1st. We're going to come right out the gate with a Sunday Night Live, January 1st. Not New Year's Eve, which is Saturday, but Sunday, January 1st. We will start the year with a Sunday Night Live, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific, and we're going to talk about a lot of what's happening, what's happened over the weekend, and where we're heading as we look into 2023. And I want to start with this story. A trans daughter has been arrested for murdering her father. And the only reason I'm playing this game, that it's a trans and it's a her, is to demonstrate something we have learned all year long as they've pushed this trans testicle LGBTQ crap all over everybody. We've learned something. And that is that this trans population is extremely dangerous. It is a very dangerous segment, tiny little segment of the population, yet they're pushing it on us. And what have we learned, though? What have we learned is that they're very much at risk. They're killing themselves. They're suicidal, many of them. I wonder why. Is it because they're stable? Well, not if they're killing themselves. Is it because they're stable? Well, not if they're killing others. Could there be a problem with their mental stability as they are being arrested for molesting children? The media is making a note. This is a transgender person. That's a transgender person. Yeah, well, we're learning that trans is a very dangerous thing. Yeah, so this trans daughter that was arrested for murdering her father, this trans person has a penis. It's an XY chromosome, which is typically a male, was smirking at cameras as she was led away by the police. Folks, what have we learned in 2022? They're going to keep pushing this trans crap on children, on adults, on the general population, through the media, through politics, in every way. Trans, drag queens, homosexual, trans fluid, trans athlete, they're sick, folks. These people in the media are absolutely sick for pushing it. The politicians are sick. So, what else is going on in our world in 2022 that we saw a massive increase? Well, Let's take a wild guess. Let's take a wild freaking guess as to what has really expanded in 2022. And we've seen it all year long, and it is getting worse. So, yep, I have another example. A 30-year-old, folks, 30-year-old arts organization leader. In other words, someone who does art stuff, dancing, choreographing, singing, whatever this guy did from West Side of Chicago. Guess what he has died from? Not a sudden heart attack. No. He died from complications. In other words, he had a heart attack, and then he suddenly died afterwards. In other words, he probably had another heart attack on top of a heart attack, on top of how many heart attacks and why. Well, surprise, surprise, surprise. We have been watching this develop all year long as it has affected people in their 30s, people in their 40s, people in their 20s, people in their 60s, people in their teens, and even children under 10 dying of heart attacks, cardiac arrest, not heart disease, folks. See, there's a big difference, and they don't want to talk about this. Heart disease is where the heart is very weak. It's been clogged, and so there are just dead parts of the heart. Heart disease, right? Heart attack, heart disease. These people are dying of cardiac arrest. In other words, it's basically instantaneous. Suddenly, they're dying. Like a big, giant, fat clog just develops, and the heart doesn't even have a chance to start diseasing and dying off. It's just cut off. Bam! Cut off of its blood supply. It doesn't have a chance to have disease. It's just cardiac arrest. Ha! Get it? Strokes, huge chunks of junk lodging in the brain and killing the brain. Ha! Dead. Take a wild freaking guess. What has changed in 2022? Well, it started back in 2021 with the Jim Jones juice and pushing it all the way into 2022 and through 2022 when they finally started losing their court cases on mandates. But they've scared a huge, huge section of the population now. 30-year-olds, 25-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 10-year-olds. And what's the youngest we've heard? Someone dying from a heart attack, I think it was 5 years old in Brazil. Brazil. Hearing a lot about Brazil lately. But still, cardiac arrest, sudden death. Not heart disease, folks, cardiac arrest. It's incredible. There's a difference between lung disease and having your lungs not work for years and years and they just slowly shrivel and you die. There's a difference between that and someone putting a plastic bag over your head and asphyxiating you, right? Keeping you from getting the air you need. Your heart, folks, isn't heart disease if you have a cardiac arrest, if it's just suddenly stopped. Unbelievable. Now, what else has been going on in 2022? Letting me move on in this Friday free-for-all 2022 year in review. This is totally indicative of the fight parents have been battling since the Biden administration took over, and it was rapidly accelerated in 2022, calling on parents, not in a good way, but calling them domestic terrorists and going after children in schools, in the street, and public libraries. Reading, folks, the reading by drag queens, storybook hour by drag queens. That's where they started, was in the libraries. And then they said, well, children, why don't you come back to our perverted lair, our drag queen club, and we'll have all ages, children appropriate dancing where they reveal themselves nakedly and sexualize children. What a bunch of sick fucks. So the fight, people are opposing it, opposing this trash in schools. Yeah. Drag queens shows in school in 2022, folks, secretly held for admirers and observers, students and teachers alike. Children dressing in drag and dancing for their teachers. Hello? How many times did this happen that we didn't become aware of it? Well, we heard about it at least once. We're hearing about dozens and dozens of these all ages family drag queen bullshit. folks. So there's a faith-based storyteller out there who's written some books, right? Cameron. And he was denied access to a public library, right? Denied access. Kirk Cameron wrote children's books that are faith-based, and library denied him in the great state of Indiana. Well, the people said, screw it. We're done with you people. We're done. And huge crowds lined up. And I want to thank Penelope for sending this news story, because it's indicative of the fight that's going on between parents and decency against the evil in media, in government, public libraries, in government organizations like the legislature and the executive branches and the judges around this country, as well as the mainstream media everywhere. Parents are pushing back. There was a huge crowd. Despite the library trying to stop it, they denied Mr. Cameron his opportunity to read his book at the story hour. But public pressure caused the library to give in. Long lines of people walking into the building, photos capturing families everywhere, standing against the wall. Now, let me tell you about what is right and what is wrong, what is good and what is not, what is accepted and what is being shoved on people, right? Here is what Zach Bell with Brave Books had to say. The turnout was phenomenal. We were blown away at this book reading. This was the largest event held at the library in its 137 years of existence. Right? These drag queens will have 2 or 3 or a dozen kids, right? That they're trying to lure, groom into their weird-ass lifestyle. Well, that's nothing compared to the number of people who want to have decency. And so the people stood up, the people demanded it, the people fought back, and then the people attended. And God bless them for that. Right? They used to, I remember this claim that, well, if you're drag and you come out, then you're so brave. You're so brave for doing that. It's not brave if everyone accepts it, and that you're condemned if you stand up against it. But that's going on also. People condemning these drag queen shows. The state of Florida is now engaged in this fight. In other words, folks, shit has hit the fan, and we're fighting back. And I want you to join the fight politically, not violently. Okay? We need to fight back. I need you to support Arizona politicians with texts, emails, comments, phone calls, because there's a proposed bill in Arizona. And it's going to prohibit teachers from using a student's preferred pronoun without the parental consent required. In other words, the parents have to know about it and approve of it before a student can be talked to by a teacher using false bullshit names. Please support this. Please support it. This fight is on, folks. Shit has hit the fan. Make your voice heard. Right? Senator-elect, meaning he just got elected and he's already got some legislation, folks. It is pre-filed even. And who is this senator-elect in Arizona? John Kavanaugh. K-A-V-A-N-A-G-H. Get behind this guy and create a real movement, folks. We need to be aware, we need to be prepared, and we need to prep to action. In every area, folks, it is on. It is a free-for-all everywhere. We've seen this, folks. We've seen it and heard it all of 2022. All of 2022. And so I'm using current examples in the news to describe everything that's happened in 2022 leading up to this as far as we're in, right? We're in it, folks, and we better be in it to win it or we're going to lose it. my Zero Dark 30 video that came just before this, right? For whom the bell tolls about Brazil and America's doom if it doesn't take heed. This is our warning. This is, if we don't want massive civil unrest, if we don't want massive partisan conflict and even civil war, we need to beat them back now, right? Now, another example, and this falls under season's beatings, right? It's unbelievable, this idea that if you're having an emotional outburst, you're allowed to attack people. How many times have we seen this coming from BLM, coming from Antifa, coming from snowflakes, and coming from Karens in stores in 2022? Always going, well, silence is violence. And it was, you triggered me, and it was microaggression on your part, and I have a right to violently beat you. Well, I've got a story here. A woman was arrested in a airport. She attacked her husband because she found some sexually explicit photos on his phone. Now, we all know that, hey, you shouldn't probably be doing that. But does it, folks, allow you to become a violent, emotional freak and attack someone? Right? Democrat thinking, that's it. Violence is okay if you're emotional. So, well, wait a minute. We live in a trans world now, don't we? What about, men were supposed to get in touch with their feminine sides. Remember when we heard that 2 decades ago? You need to get in touch with your feminine side. You need to be more sensitive to other people's feelings. Right? Remember that shit? And then they're like, well, where'd all the men go? Well, no shit. You chased them all away because of toxic masculinity in the last 5 years, especially hearing that men being masculine is toxic. Who do you think's going to fucking defend you if we're invaded by the Chinese or the Russians or fucking Martians for that matter, right? Men will stand up and fight them back. Now, there'll be women with them. Oh, you betcha. But toxic masculinity, you bet. Now, how about this? What if men started beating up women because they were emotionally upset? That's right. This woman should be arrested. She's a fucking lunatic. And acting out on your emotions, that's what they've been telling us to do for the last couple of years. Oh, it started back in 2020 by justifying the emotional response out of the bullshit community over St. George Floyd. Because that's not the black community. That's the bunch of freaks that live in the black community and think it's just fine to act that way. They don't represent black America, not in my mind. They don't represent the persons of color of America. They're a bunch of lunatics who want to use any excuse they can to act out violently, burn, loot, murder. And they did. We've got a freak show out there, folks, and it's trying to justify itself and legitimize itself. 2022 is now over, and we're looking into 2023. Right? President Trump has been investigated for the last 2 years by Congress, run by Democrats and rhinos, because he was giving a speech on January 6th where he said peace, right? Act peaceably, politically fight, not physically, violently fight. And violence did break out on Congress, right? In Congress. This is back in 2021, folks. And those prisoners that were arrested for the police violently assaulting them and violence ensuing. When you're attacked, whether it's by police or not, you have a right to defend yourself. The police weren't trying to arrest them. The police were attacking them with flashbangs, rubber bullets, and then batons. The police, with their badges, their radios, their guns, their pepper spray, their tasers, are not allowed to attack people and be allowed to get away with it. The badge is not a permission slip to act violently. Especially, folks, nonviolent people. It's not like they were violently acting out towards criminals in the act of committing crime. Protesting is not a crime. January 6th should go down as Kent State Part 2. Now, they said that Trump engaged in insurrection, and they've been trying to get him on that for 2 years. Well, AOC, folks, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, encouraged her left-wing communist activist followers to protect an event, not a person, but an event. And so what happened? They had a drag queen story hour in New York City, and there was a protest that was being done because the people are stepping up and saying no more of this sick shit. And so AOC's goon squad shows up and started a freaking fight. Why not charge AOC with insurrection? Number one, folks, fight the freaks. Number two, we need to start charging these Democrat idiots with the real crimes they're committing. Instigating violence. Protecting an event with violence, not allowed to do that. And that's what the left does. They get all worked up and they commit acts of violence. You don't hear anything about right-wing or liberty-minded or patriotic protesters beating up drag queens. You don't hear about it. What we hear about is, again, this has happened in 2022 several times. There have been mass shootings, mass murders committed by, well, left-wing fruitcakes who don't know what gender is in their pants, who go and kill other trans, gay, queer, whatever types. This is going on, folks. This is happening, and it is them causing the problem, them causing the violence, and them trying to change America by pushing their sick belief systems on everyone else. 2022 has been one hell of a year. Inflation has been off the hook. Off the hook. Once again, 2 days ago, I went to the store. I went to buy a carton of eggs. A carton of eggs was $8.97. $8.97. That's 300% higher than it was 2 years ago. I remember paying $3 for a carton of 18 eggs. It was $2 and like $2.10 for 12, right? So you get a little better deal if you buy 18. Well, I'm a big guy and I eat a lot of freaking eggs when I get around to eating eggs. I don't have a 2-egg omelet. I have a 3 or a 4 or a 5-egg omelet. Anyways, the point is massive inflation, food costs going up, people having to have reduced Thanksgiving and reduced Christmas dinners, not to mention reduced Christmas celebrations. And then if you could afford to fly somewhere to go see family, guess what? Some friends I have here in the South wanted to fly home to see family. Just a little shuttle flight, a little 2.5-hour flight. Canceled. Christmas was canceled for many people because of a storm. I remember, folks, when I was going from California out to North Carolina as a Marine, flew commercial, duty station change, landed in Chicago. Chicago, folks. I woke up, looked out the fucking window, and it looked like Die Hard 2 at the airport. You couldn't see the ground, covered in ice. Covered in fucking ice. They were spraying shit on the wings. They were de-icing the wings. The wings were covered in freaking ice. They didn't say, hey, there's snow falling and it's icy. We're going to have to cancel this flight. It's fucking Chicago, the windy city. It's fucking frozen in the winter. They de-iced the plane, fueled it up, and with a limited passenger load, flew on out. Next stop, Charlotte, North Carolina. It's winter. Snow happens. How many thousands? Actually, folks, it's well over 10,000. It may have been 20,000 flights total have been canceled so far. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Prices are going up. Services are going down. Right? We can't get anything. We can't get any stability in prices or direction. It is instability in prices. It is instability in directions with our energy. Are we going natural gas? Are we going coal for energy? Why not something intelligent that works all the time? Yeah, like solar and wind. We saw it again fail this year. Absolutely. In 2022, the wind died in Germany. They didn't get wind power that they expected. It was an incredibly low year for wind in Germany. On top of that, folks, in 2022, what happened? That's right. The big enchilada. War broke out. And we're now in what I consider to be the beginning stages of World War III, even though it's not being called that. But we have Russia rolled into Ukraine because they were being antagonized and threatened with missile defense systems and NATO bases, military moving into Ukraine. At the same time, and for years, Ukraine military has been committing war atrocities. They have been killing ethnic Russians who live inside the former boundaries of Ukraine. But those areas are now distinct, different, and have voted themselves out of Ukraine and voted themselves into Russia as Russian republics. Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia, those ones, and I know I can't pronounce things very well. Those are now no longer part of Ukraine. Yet the war continues. Doesn't matter what the people want. Ukraine wants to attack the people in those areas, and they're continuing to do it. And they're continuing to lob missiles and or commit acts of terror against Russia. Just the other day, for the third time, they've attacked a Russian airbase. Whether it's a drone or someone on the ground with bombs, doesn't matter. The United States or NATO would not accept anyone attacking them militarily. So once again, they're trying to antagonize Russia into fighting back against NATO countries. Ukraine is not a NATO country, but they would love to do an Article 6. You attacked one of us, so you're going to get it from all of us. Right? But who's attacking whose country? Well, Ukraine and Russia are in a war. But Ukraine has managed to lob some missiles into Poland and kill people, and lob a missile into Belarus, and they shot it down. We have been saying all through 2022 that Ukraine is corrupt. And it is. We saw FTX, a cryptocurrency exchange and investment system, utterly fail. Being run by a 20-something idiot and his 20-something idiot girlfriend, commingling funds, borrowing billions from themselves, rather from the fund, sending money over to Ukraine, sending their crypto crap to Ukraine, laundering it, and then sending that money back to American politicians. It just came out, I believe, today or last night, that Sam Bankman-Fried, head of FTX, has met with Biden, 3 or 4 times in person? You're telling me he doesn't know what the fuck's going on? The big guy doesn't have any idea? Folks, it's not a conspiracy theory. It is not conspiracy theory to say that they are in collusion and they're doing this intentionally and they know exactly what the hell is happening. These people are corrupt to the core, not just Ukraine, but everyone in Washington, D.C. who is part of the machine there. Part of the machine. The money laundering, trafficking, drug trafficking, sex trafficking, child trafficking. It's all come out and it all gets swept under the rug. Oh, we haven't heard about it in a long time in the news, but Comet Ping Pong, remember that? Comet Ping Pong or Ping Pong Pizza or Comet Pizza Ping Pong. Those sick fucks that came out resulted in the exposure of Little St. James and Jeffrey Epstein. And then he ultimately gets arrested and then killed himself in a watched, cameraed, suicide-free room. Somehow he still managed to kill himself. That got swept under the rug. And it's coming out yet again now. It's coming out because, thank God, the Virgin Islands are suing JP Morgan and Deutsche Bank for their involvement with Epstein and everyone who's part of this deep state, sick, real conspiracy centered in, Washington, D.C., New York City, Paris, London, and everywhere where these sick fucks commit all act of atrocity, and then they own each other, and they're part of the machine. They're infected. They're destroying our military in 2022. General Milli Vanilli, lipstick lips himself, right? And all these sick woke fucks in the military who have revealed that they're going to appear in uniform with their pup handler masks on. And we're not just talking about stupid little enlisted men's, little airmen or little soldiers, little privates. These are officers. Officers in the military, in the Pentagon, in the White House administration. Old pup handler himself, the little fruitcake who's stealing luggage and committed multiple felonies. These are some sick fucks. They're destroying the military. So guess what? Guess what? You bet. Folks, the military is woke and they're struggling to recruit in the numbers they need. So now they're accepting in the end of 2022 recruits with ADHD and other mental issues. Hell, next thing you know, they're going to be recruiting out of the prison system. Hey, you want to have your prison sentence commuted? You want your record wiped clean? Just join the army as a convicted felon. Is that coming next? Folks, understand this. In 10 years, the American military is going to be absolute trash. Oh, they'll still have their drones. They'll still have space-based weapons. They'll have their robot military coming. Folks, the militia, the American people are the real military and protection for this country. It's going to be us in 10 years. They will have their Terminator-style robots. They're already here. They already work. All they got to do is put a gun in their hand, make sure that they're uplinked to Elon Musk's Starlink system, low Earth orbit satellites, which are more than likely actually balloons, high altitude balloons with solar panels on them that do what? Right? Help communicate the internet down onto the earth. That's fine. It's all great technology. I don't got a problem with that. But they just want to make sure there's enough of them up there that they can run military operations. Do you think that using Starlink in Ukraine was an accident, a coincidence? The government contract for it? No, they were making sure they can run military operations through Starlink, low Earth orbit satellite system. It's a test. It's a fucking beta test. I was part of a beta test program in the late 80s with the Marine Corps. Something today we take for absolute total granted. And that is using UPC codes, scanning them to keep track of inventories during an operation. Simple, apparently nonchalant, mindless, stupid stuff. Now you go to the store and a little bottle of vitamins. Pit, 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 pit. Bink, bink, bink. Right? Everything they run past the scanner, it works. Back in the 80s, that didn't exist, folks. A few years later, it was everywhere. So what am I saying again? Oh, yeah, military, 2022. Where are we at? Well, they're making it a sick institution. They're making it weak. It's because they want an automated military. Drones, no pilots needed. All autonomous computer AI technology. Drones in the air and robot drones on the ground. They've broken out the dogs, and they've got the bipedal robots. They've got the rolling trash cans for civilian policing. Don't worry. But for now, they're going to accept recruits with ADHD and other mental problems. The Army, be all you can be. Yeah. Yeah, show up in the Army and they'll cut your balls off and say, good job. And they won't even charge you for neutering you. You thought this was going to be a good news show. Not a fucking chance, folks. Not a chance. Right? Civil war is going to happen in Brazil if they don't take real action to get rid of the communist that has stolen their country. What is going on with the Nintendo games? Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. We can't use real words. We can't use real words in 2022. We have to use code. So the code for Nintendo is November activities, where the people participate in collective games, Nintendo games, to see who the winner is. Well, it's coming down to where the people are violently opposing their governments. People are protesting their governments over the Nintendo games. They've had it. They're electing people like in the country of Italy. They elected a nationalist who is instantly called a fascist, but she is pro-Italy, anti-globalist. Globalists are now taking it on the chin. The world does not want them. They don't want them. So the fight is on, folks. And Brazil may end up being the first nation that becomes violent. But don't worry, right? Ukraine in 2022 showed us that the government can arrest and jail its opponents, political opponents. People have been legitimately elected, disagreeing with the totalitarian regime like Voldemort Zelensky, so they get arrested. You're not allowed to criticize them, so they control the media. You're not allowed to say anything about it in church. That's right. The state is attacking the church and stealing their property and arresting their priests in Ukraine. Right? Media. The media. Censorship. Control of the news. Most Americans have no idea it's even happening. But we do. We do, but the rest of the world, if they had any clue, their heads would explode.
Have you any idea how successful censorship is on TV? Don't know the answer? Successful, isn't it?
Mad Max Headroom is what I call him, but he was Max Headroom in the 1980s. And he was reporting and complaining about censorship back then, and that people didn't know what was going on. Well, we have the greatest tool ever given to us to mass communicate with one another, the internet. So we've managed to use YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and other social media applications, programs, software to do it. And what have we gotten for it, for all our success? Well, these companies have made themselves mega billionaire companies who, once they got there, decided they don't need us anymore, and they've been cutting us off. They have done everything they can to this channel here alone, except completely erase us, because we can color within the lines. And I need your help. Subscribe. I need your help. Share the internet address. I need your help in getting people to wake the hell up, support this channel, other channels that get out there and tell, well, I can't say we tell the truth. We tell the satirical version of reality, because this channel has to be satire in order to exist. But I think we all get the big joke. I think we all get it. We need leadership. That leadership is us in our own lives first, in our families second, and amongst our other countrymen. We need to start showing the way. If you are afraid and silent, guess what? Everyone else looks around and goes, nobody is standing up for what is right. Nobody is saying anything about what's going on because, well, they're afraid. So therefore, everyone's afraid. The person says, well, why should I say something no one else is? I'm afraid I'll lose my job, that people won't like me, that I'll have bad social credit score. That's coming, folks. All of this shit. I don't want to be socially castigated. I don't want to be kicked out of my church for standing up for morality. That's what fucking church is supposed to be about. Place to go to worship and teach and learn morality, decency, and to obey the law. Right? The real law. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Folks, it has been an honor to speak with you and to get to know you and to share with you everything. Everything. I want to thank you for supporting this channel in every way that you do. Like John, all the Johns, right? The Bonnie Blues, the Cottage Farms, the Nickies, the Umans, the Kazes, right? The Rons, everybody. There's too many names to mention, but you're all there, right? You're all out there. People of every age, every color, every gender, it doesn't matter. If you love your life and you love freedom, you can get information that's useful here, and it'll help others if you share it. You guys have supported this channel financially through the preparedmind.club and subscribestar.com, through your super chat comments, and through private donations, and also through Prepper Coach, which is on the preparedmind.club. Every way, folks, and we do the best we can to provide you with valuable information, insight, thoughts, and of course, a unique sense of humor applied to it all. And if you need preps, folks, the prices are going to continue to go up. Thank you, Gigi, dumbass. Let's go, Brandon, Joe Biden, jackass. Right? So we have the preparedmind.club, where we have carefully selected items that will help you get through an emergency situation. Which emergency? We don't know. That's why we say food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Any emergency that comes along, those items take care of it. Right? Self-defense is guns. It's also communication. So radios, walkie-talkies, CBs, shortwave, ham, etc. Shelter, your home, protection, warmth, right? That's why we have solar panels, battery backup, right? Generators, you need it all, folks. You need it all to be prepared. So get prepared. Whether you buy it from me or someone else, just do it. Just do it. We used to have a really easy way to get things done, just by going through the preparedmind.club, looking at our products, clicking on it, and they come from Amazon. They killed it. They don't want you having easy access to items that someone like me would recommend. Why? Because they don't like the message. Why? Because they're un-American, folks. Don't tell me drag queens are American. Don't tell me Joe Biden's American. Don't tell me General Milli Vanilli and the Pentagon are pro-America, pro-Constitution, and pro-freedom. They're not. Mainstream media? No. University and colleges? No. Public institutions? No. The only one that's going to save us is us. So start fighting, but you do it by getting prepared and then prep to action. Talk to your congressmen, your senators, president, governor, mayor, whoever it is, and tell them, right? Time to start obeying your oaths. And the next time, folks, that we develop a government and we invent it, we need to put in there penalties. That is, responsibility for decisions made by these people in high office. They need to be held accountable. Just like you and I, when we cause damage, we're held accountable. Politicians should not be able to break the law or destroy the law and get away with it. Right, Hunter? 2022, hasta la vista. 2023, 2023 coming up next. And I will see you day one of 2023 on Sunday Night Live, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Bring a drink. We'll have a little bit of a New Year's Eve late celebration. I'm going to bring a nice bottle. Then we'll sit down and we will celebrate. For now, I'm going to wish you well and say, Vaya con Dios, Semper Fidelis.